Yes, Mr. Mecklenburg, this is Captain Jack. I'm waiting on your call, sir, to area code 813-699-0834. 813-699-0834. Hope to hear from you, sir, and we'll be waiting for you. It is 9:13 Eastern Time on Wednesday. We are doing a phone interview tonight. Thanks again, sir. Bye-bye. All right, everybody, how you doing? Captain Jack here. I'm not sure if you just heard the phone call I did make. I am awaiting, hopefully, a call in from KARL Mecklenburg. Again, if you heard that, it's because my microphone might have picked it up. We're waiting on the call, so hopefully we'll have everybody here. Let's see what we got. Let me see. I got Don Webb, Mike Sarah, Becky Gutzler. For Life is here. Thank you for the Pachecos and Thor, and I need to know the other gentleman that's with your crew. I know y'all three quickly, and I need to know the other gentleman in that crew. Raider Moore, Logan Moore is there. Howdy to you. And those are the folks that have joined me here on YouTube. Let's see if I can get over there. Let's see, we got, oh, wow, it's actually a bit different. Oh, there we go. We're starting to get the comments going for YouTube there. Want to make sure everybody's there. Also, we are Q and Dion, okay, and Hollywood is joining us as well. If you are on Facebook, I got Ruben. Good to see you, Rube. Richard Angeles, Raider Ken Kirksey, and Chris Lentz. Again, if you are on Facebook, I invite you, please, to head on over to YouTube, because I'm going to be letting y'all know this, and I've been doing it for a bit. Once we start getting the stream going, I'm going to give you guys a taste, and I guess this is the taste that we'll be having here on Facebook. We are also going on Twitter and Twitch. So again, for those Facebookers, come on over to YouTube. The YouTube channel is listed right there. YouTube.com/C/Captain Jack Rackham Levy. It's right in front of you. Now, normally, I would have my guest on the line already, but Mr. Mecklenburg is a very busy individual, and I have been trading emails with him, and as you can see, and actually you haven't seen the full slideshow that I've done already. You haven't seen the full slideshow, but so I got the slideshow going. There's a lot of things I've been doing and mixing up that to make sure that the aesthetics, the visuals are better. And again, we're just waiting on KARL Mecklenburg, hopefully, to join us. Again, if you are on Facebook, come on over to YouTube. Again, I can't say it more clearly that obviously when you're on YouTube and you are a member, a subscriber to the team, you will be ready to go and available for the Raider prizes. Oh, Angela is on for Life, of course. Q and Dion is the other members of our crew. Thank you for showing up there. Hot Neil is here. Mike Sarah. And again, those are my folks over there watching currently on YouTube. Rennie Zaragoza has joined us from Facebook. Please come on over. Now, while we're waiting, I do think that we can talk about some of the issues that are going on via sports right now. And if you haven't seen it, I think the two biggies are these, especially for Raider fans, and you guys can comment if there's anything that I'm missing. But the two big ones that have come out recently are these. Jimmy Farrell, thanks for coming here. First off, the house that our third-round draft pick out of Kentucky was staying in, I believe it was Peoria. I believe it's Peoria, Illinois, where our third-round draft pick was staying, Mr. Bowden. That house was, I don't want to say ransacked, but it was investigated, charged into. All of the contents of the house were taken into consideration. I can't remember what the exact wording was, but it was charged into. Well, come on, give me a cop here that did all of those things. What do you call it? The investigation by the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency, went into the house. They found several automatic weapons. They found several items of, it was in Ohio. I believe it was Peoria. And lots of ammo for the weapons as well. Our draft pick, Mr. Bowden, he was handcuffed. He wasn't charged with anything yet. Youngstown. Okay, thanks there, Don. Yeah, Peoria is in Illinois. Where did I get Peoria? Man, rough day. I think it was his grandmother's house. I think it was because I got a haircut today. Having somebody, my stylist, which the first time somebody other than these nubby hands were running their hands through my hair in a shampoo, and God, it was greasy. Not too much information there, but it was nice to go out and get a haircut. Now, if you've noticed, and I'll get back, I swear I'll get back to Mr. Bowden in a little bit. If you notice, the beard has not been trimmed. Reason why is obviously with the stylists that are out there currently for, I don't know if it's a federal mandate. I know for sure the mandate in Florida states that all customers in barbershops and salons and hair cutlery, they have to have masks on. So obviously, if my stylist has her mask on and I have my mask on, it's kind of hard. It's really kind of hard to do a beard trim. So, gosh darn it, that hasn't happened yet. So, but at least the hair was cut. I got the split ends cut. And so I think, and in honor, I guess in honor of the haircut, I'm letting the hair breathe and be free. Normally I have the hat on. And you guys know I usually have the hat on. Again, if you are on Facebook, thanks for being here. See who's come in here. Damian Cuellar, Jack Varela, has joined the Facebook crew. Again, if you are on Facebook, please head over to YouTube. And if you're there on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed. People are telling me I've subscribed, but how do I know if I have subscribed publicly? The answer, the answer's on YouTube. Okay? Go to Google and say, how do I make sure that I am publicly subscribed on YouTube? There are at least 3 videos. Which makes it easy AF. And I know what AF means. And it's not Air Force, Don, because that would be USAF. But it makes it easy AF for you to make sure that your profile and subscription to my show is public. So let's do that. I have good news. Looks like I'm at 801, so we need 49 more subscribers, and then we'll give away that Raider prize pack. Hey, Heidi Stabbert's here too. Thanks for coming in, Captain. Now the bus you need to wear. Oh, you have to wear a bus on the mask or a mask on the bus. A bus on the mask. Yeah, bus on the mask, man. Rough day. Air Power. Don Webb chimes in. Navy. Never again volunteer yourself. There you go. There's the acronym. 22 proud years in the Navy. Loved it. And obviously, yeah. I think the Marines calls those cute guys who take us places on ships. But that's just it. And yeah, it is glad to see you as well, Heidi. Getting back. Woo! Way off into the high and right, man. Doing something. If you're wondering where Mr. Mecklenburg is, he's not here yet. I did leave a message. I don't know whether did you guys hear my message when I left him a message while we were doing the intro promos? I'm not sure if you heard it or not. I hope you didn't. I mean, it's okay if you did, but I like to try to keep things as professional as possible. But I did call him and said, "Hey, it's time to come on." So hopefully we did. Update on the state. Hey, thanks. We got some news as well. Logan Moore, thank you for this. Oh, yes, we heard the message. So Don Webb, so you guys can hear the microphone was on. And I was debating whether I should turn, because I got to really turn the box off. I got to turn the box off to do that. I'll make sure, yes, I do that. Update on the stadium. Currently installing the really big outdoor video mesh. Thank you. The giant Raider shield on the ground in front of the Raiders image is being constructed. Thank you, Logan Moore. So there you go. Some more football-related news. And Jimmy Farrell keeps chiming in. I did see it the first time, Jimmy. I swear. The Major League Baseball draft. And, hey, Hot Neil is getting better on his vision. Thank you, and blessings to you. There you go. Hey! Come on there, Angela. You're taking my stuff, man. That was the next thing I was getting to after I finished with the what is it? Ransack? It's not ransacking. They went into the house, they investigated the house, and they put people in handcuffs, and they found weapons and ammo. They targeted the house. There's a word for it. I can't remember what the hell the word is. That was story one. Story two, and thank you for my goodness. Thank you for giving my segue away before I even do it. I love it. Oh, sorry, my bad. That's okay. That's okay. Hey, interactive show here, and I haven't even done a phone call yet. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Well, but I mean, I'm going to talk. Yeah, you know, it's kind of like the old Groucho. Oh, yeah, you say the secret word, it'll be $200 if you say the secret word. Maybe we'll do a secret word. Maybe we'll do that too. Hollywood's daughter. Hey, Heather Matheny. Thanks for subscribing. Make sure you're public, Heather. Because then this way you and your dad and your mom actually get 2 chances to win the prize. Search warrant? Yeah, there was a search warrant there. They went in. They investigated the house. Home surveillance, then had a warrant. There you go. Don Webb says it. Now Don was an intel guy. Far be it from popular belief that all Air Force people are all cops. Although it is true that for all lady members of the Air Force, you have to be at least a 7.5 to join. If you're not a 7.5, and I don't mean inches high or 7 foot 6 inches, I mean on the beauty scale. You have to be at least a 7.5 to be in the Air Force as a female, or they don't let you in. If you're not, you can join the Army, the Navy. If you don't, and I think the Navy has the standard, the Army has the standard, and if you don't make the standards, then no, I'm not even going to say. There's a joke there. So there you go. We were talking about. I'm having fun, and no, I don't even have any drinks in front of me. I mean, look at this. This is my cup of coffee from this morning. I haven't even taken it into the kitchen yet. I can turn it up so there's nothing in there. I want to make sure that there was no coffee left, so I'd be dripping on myself. So I don't even have my drinks in front of me because I've been waiting. I've been doing all the graphics. I went and got my hair cut and I made sure I was here. What the fuck? Questions about the stadium turf on the stadium. According to the stadium constructed after the Rebels play their field, will be rolling. The radium turf stadium will be laid out. Yeah. No, that's what they're doing. I mean, if you guys didn't know that already, I am goofy today. It's because I'm supposed to be doing an interview, but I'm not doing an interview. We're doing. I feel like I should be doing like the. No, the turf. The turf is for them. The artificial field turf is for UNLV. Okay. The UNLV gets the field turf. The Raiders get real sod grass, and like Arizona, they wheel it in. Okay. They wheel it into the stadium because it resides outside where they can make sure it gets watered and get some air and the all of the other thing. I will do a shot, Becky, but I don't have any alcohol. I don't even have a drink. And I was going through here. I would just probably have to get some. I was getting everything ready. I had nothing to drink. Maybe the one thing I do need in this room is I need one of these small refrigerators. Okay. Yeah. Mike Sarah says it's the haircut. Don't you guys like my haircut? Don't you guys like my haircut? By the way, if you the MLB draft is on, okay. Now here's something I can say: if you are a draft guy for Major League Baseball, you are a bigger sports geek than I am, because almost nobody, and I got to be right here, almost nobody knows who all of the people are that are going to be drafted by MLB. And the reason why I say that is because you got the kids that come out of high school that are, top people, and then you got some that play, obviously, for college, and some of them are known. But really, if you know who the guys are that are drafted in Major League Baseball, and you can say, well, this guy should be in this round. If you are that much of a geek, my love, man, my love to you. My love to you, because I have no clue. Okay, and Hot Neil sent Hollywood Raider the request. Construction where Duntal Raider 6 asked them while filming his updated video. Going to Vegas to Monday. Yeah, I know. And Hollywood and Laredo is going. We are excited. Yeah. And I knew that because your dad told me in a phone call about half an hour ago. That's you know what? I'm blaming Hollywood. I'm blaming Hollywood because I was talking to him while I was supposed to be getting ready for the show. I was talking to him, and I love him to death. I was talking to him, and I normally one of the last things I was doing would be, I go to the kitchen, I get my drink, I put it in my, because I use my large mug. This is not my large mug, this is my coffee mug. And that's the last thing I do. So, sorry. I mean, if I can find the graphic, like remember last show I did where I was gone for half an hour, it says, "We'll be right back." Oh wait, let's do this the right way. Okay. Hang on. I always like doing this. We'll be right back. I didn't hear it, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it sounded. Did it sound really? Did it sound awesome? I love with the treble. Yeah, and by the way, Logan Moore, go see Loretta, go see Hollywood, Hollywood, and that's for Hollywood from my I love in 1941, where the Japanese sailor said, you know, that he's crying, he sees Hollywood, and he goes Hollywood. So there you go. Hot Neil in a minute. You can call in a minute. No. he apologizes. Let me go. Hang on here. Let me go. I'm afraid that as soon as I go into the other room, that Carl is going to call. It's like stupid. The chances on that. But let me do this. Hang on. Let me get the right. Do the right thing here. If I can get the area. Where the hell is the we'll be right back? Hang on. My goodness. I know it's in here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Okay. Because it's not here. Aha. Ha, 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 ha. Okay. 1 second. So I have the preview locked. I got the preview locked, so I got to do this. And I'm not sure how large it's going to be. So if it's really bad, I don't know how large it's going to be, so we'll see it. Transition here, we'll see. I knew it was too large. I knew it was too frickin' large. Let's make it a little smaller. Nope. See, this is what happens when. There you go. Ta-da! Okay. I think I don't have anything else there. Okay, we'll be right back. And got that. Okay. Yeah. See, this is what happens when you don't have your graphics correct. I swear I had it. I swear I had it. No. See, this is. Oh my goodness. You guys are probably laughing. There we go. Now that I said that, let me go, and I'm gonna get something to drink. We'll be right back. All right, we are back, and I can attest that I don't. Well, I'm going to make sure. I didn't see it. Where the hell is my? See, this is what happens when. And I had the. There it is. Okay. Oh, that. No wonder I put it over here. Okay. This is what happens when you think something's going to happen and it didn't quite happen. So again, and while we are here, and tonight's movie is I don't have one, and that's another thing. Normally, I have a movie that I'm watching already, but because I had that very bad feeling when you don't get the Logan's going for a smoke break. Go ahead, Logan. When you don't get the hey, make sure you call in, and I did the other things, and I said, hey, this is the number we're going to be doing it on, and it's just one of those where you just kind of feel like you're not sure what's going on. So while Logan's getting a smoke break, tonight's movie is, what is this? I don't know. Oh, it's Official Secrets? Yeah, I don't want to watch that. RoboCop, Officer and Gentleman. Forrest Gump. Let's see. Brightburn. I don't think so. We can watch The End of My Cousin Vinny. Mortal Engines. Isn't that the badly panned movie? Well, I can't really say that he stood me up. It might have been a misunderstanding. He might have thought that I was calling him. And I did call him. And what I actually can do is I can look now. Don't watch with it. Misunderstandings occur. Okay, misunderstandings occur. I'm actually looking for something good we can watch, or at least have in the background. Isn't that the one? Yeah, there we go. iRobot, which just started at 9, so we're about half an hour, 40 minutes into the movie. There you go. I think I have to change the view because you can't really see it from this angle. Let me change the camera. Did I have that? There we go. Okay, now, so tonight's movie, which you can probably see in the screen behind me, is iRobot with Will Smith. Hot Neil, I'm afraid that if you now I can tell you, Hot Neil, if you do call and I get a call from him, the only thing is I was gonna try to call his personal cell phone, but I have to go into mail to do it. So let me do this first. Okay. You know what? I'm going to text him. I do have his number. I'm not giving it out. Keypad. There we go. While we're doing here, I will text him. Okay. You can get this, Mr. Mecklenburg. Are we still doing our interview? Okay. Okay, and what we'll do is I will give the number. So it could be misunderstanding, Beck. You don't say all Broncos, because this is the first time it's happened. But sometimes things happen. Sometimes things happen. Just wait. Okay. If you want to call Hot Neil, if you want to call, go ahead. But here's the thing: if he calls while I'm on the phone with you, I gotta hang up. Okay, you understand that, right? As long as you understand that, we can call. So I'm going to take calls. And by the way, oh man, see, I hate that. Did I drip? See, I dripped. Hopefully it didn't drip on my computer. I do have my things to drink. So there was the shot. There was the shot that I owed. So I texted Mr. Mecklenburg, and we've been here for about 45 minutes already. I hope you guys like the graphics. And trust me, there's more. There's more graphics. So hopefully Logan returned from his lunch break or smoke break. There we go. Wait, hang on. Where the hell is my damn... Where is it? Yes, sir. This is Captain Jack. Who do I have on the phone?
It's Carl.
Hey, Mr. Mecklenburg, how you doing there, sir? But my one folks say, "Hey, Captain, can I call?" I said, "No, don't call yet, because I want to hear from Mr. Mecklenburg." And I apologize if there was a disconnect in our plans, sir.
It's okay, my fault.
Yeah, and
my son just got home from college today. He was driving home, and I got caught up in that, so I apologize.
Okay. Again, apologies, sir. I have, and so nobody else call. Okay, I got Mr. Mecklenburg on the line, and again, sir, and we've been having fun, because normally I'm well into the interview as well, and blessings to having your son back from college, because I know that in this trying time, actually, I'm sure that that's something we can talk about, as well as all the things that go on with it, having family away during this time of pandemic. And Hot Neil, do not call Hot Neil. My goodness, I love Hot Neil, but I keep telling him you can't call when I got my guest on the line. Okay, so hopefully he won't call again. Apologies, sir. This doesn't normally happen, sir. I apologize as well. But it is good to see you, sir. So again, I want to say that I am very, very pleased to introduce Bronco Great. I'm not sure if you have a screen or not, sir, but I have you on my. I think I gave you the YouTube channel. If I did, I'm not sure if I did.
Yeah, I just called the phone number that I had, so I'm not up on my computer, but I did see that group of pictures you had set up. That was pretty sweet. I like that.
Okay, yeah. Well, I got lots more. Cool. I actually, because you're only seeing 4 of them, and this is for the beginning of the show is like, and I love the one I took. The 2 action shots that I have of you are the 2 that I like the best was, and again for my Raider crowd, I had that. I only found 1 picture of you tackling a Raider on Google Images. I was quite surprised.
Yeah, that is surprising.
Yeah,
because I tackled a lot of Raiders.
You know what? You owe me for that. I set you up for the punchline, and you zing it, man. I love it. I love it. It was. I think it's 85. I think it was Dokie Williams. So
okay.
And then you're also chasing down Warren Moon in this one. But that's just the opening, okay? So what we're going to do is, and if you'll allow me to do this, because I got all of these things ready to go, is I'm going to go over to the studio. Well, I got to get rid of the "We'll be right back," and I got a photo play of let's see, there we go, and you're on the phone. So we are now we have the entire the entire menagerie of a whole bunch of video, or I'm sorry, not video, a whole bunch of pictures of you, not just the 4 that we've been looking at for the last 45 minutes, but a lot of good things. So again, we do appreciate you being here. And Mr. Mecklenburg, again, it is our pleasure. And I will say that, again, and as I said to you in the emails that I was setting you up for, a predominantly large silver and black audience, but definitely people that are sports fans. So we're definitely enthralled in hearing from you, especially, like you said, you tackled a hell of a lot of Raiders in your career, but I'm not going to get there yet. I'm gonna kind of like do "This Is Your Life." I don't know if you all remember the old "This Is Your Life" story. You remember the one, like, even they had the one that they had like the comedy portion of it. I think Sid Caesar was doing the one that they did with Carl Reiner and Sid Caesar, and it was a little bit more funny. "This Is Your Life," KARL MECKLENBURG. So we're not going to jump ahead to the 80s. We're going to go back a little bit. I did some reading up on you, sir. So you were born in Seattle, Washington, correct?
I was. My dad was in the Army. I was born in Fort Lewis, outside of Seattle. Yeah, we bounced around a little bit early on, but I ended up growing up in Minneapolis. In the Twin Cities there, and went to high school in Edina. It was called Edina West High School, and then ended up going to Augustana College in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, a little Division II school on a 1/3 scholarship, with the understanding if I played well, they'd give me a full scholarship. And I played there for a couple years. My second year there, I was too small when I was coming out of high school. I was 6 feet tall and 200 pounds. But I grew 3 inches and 40 pounds my first year of college, and I got good. I mean, my second year there, I led the team in sacks. I played every down on defense. We had that debriefing session that every coach has with its players at the end of the year, and sit you down and talk about what happened last year and what to expect next year. And I'm going into this meeting thinking, this is it. You know, they promised me a full scholarship if I produced for them, you know, it's going to happen. And I go in, and the first thing out of the coach's mouth is, "Carl, we know your dad's a doctor. He can afford this school. We're going to take away your scholarship and use it to bring someone else in." So I left Augustana, and I walked on at the University of Minnesota. When you transfer between four-year schools, you're ineligible. You're ineligible to play in games. You can certainly practice. So my job that year was to be a live blocking dummy. I was supposed to imitate the guy from Michigan or Ohio State or whoever were playing that week. And I did that, and I did that well enough. So as soon as I was eligible for a scholarship, they gave me one. So that was kind of my deal. My junior year with the Gophers, I ended up leading the Big Ten in sacks, tied with a guy named Andre Tippett, Hall of Famer out of New England. I think he played at Iowa. And the next year we were so bad that I never got to rush the passer. I think we were 3-8. Behind all the time. And when you're behind, they don't throw the ball. So, at least back in those days, they didn't throw the ball. Now they throw the ball all the time.
Well, you were making a lot of tackles, and you were getting your stats that way for sure, though.
I was, but I wasn't a linebacker. I was a defensive tackle. I was drafted by the Broncos as a defensive tackle, as a nose guard. I was drafted 12th round, the 310th pick of the draft, 20 guys away from Mr. Irrelevant, which 240-pound nose guards generally are in the 12th round, if there is a 12th round. And I made the team as a third down pass rusher and a special teams player. Coach Collier, God bless him, somehow saw that he thought I could play linebacker, switched me to linebacker. I ended up making the Pro Bowl that first year as an All-Pro linebacker, and that was I guess that was my third year. My third year, I made the Pro Bowl. That was the year they switched me over to linebacker. They tried my second year, and I dislocated my kneecap in a pass drop, and they switched me back to lineman real fast.
Well, I was going to say, sir, Matt Millen started as a nose tackle, and he went to linebacker, and he did all right. So, I mean, there
Sure.
is the precedent there, and you obviously worked on it well.
Yeah, it worked out well, and actually, Joe is way ahead of his time with a lot of the defenses, a lot of the things we were doing. They moved me all around. I played all 7 defensive front positions sometimes in a single game.
I saw that. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, they moved me all over the place. First, it was just between defensive end and inside linebacker. I was the defensive end in our nickel package and an inside linebacker. But then they started moving me to outside linebacker, and then when we ever played a run and shoot team, they put me over the nose again, and then they just started moving me all over the place, just trying to mess with the offense and make all kinds of adjustments, and it was a great place to be for me. I mean, I had the opportunity. They'd put me at the point of attack whenever they could, and as a defensive player, that's where you want to be, right? You don't want to be on the backside trying to chase it down. I'd rather be right there where the ball's going.
Now, you said that you were drafted in the 12th round, as most people know, folks, and that doesn't happen anymore. Actually, 7 rounds for the NFL, and everybody else is a free agent. You said you were almost Mr. Irrelevant. Were you happy that you were drafted, or were you kind of thinking that, hey, maybe I can get on and I can come? If you hadn't been drafted, you could have walked on. Like you said, you walked on with these schools, so you had that going for you. You said, hey, I can be an NFL walk on in some camp, and I can, my ticket would be good to go.
Before the draft, Atlanta had been shown a lot of interest. They said if I was available in the middle round, 6th, 7th round, they were going to draft me. But their first 2 picks that year were defensive linemen, so they were done taking defensive linemen. So, but I didn't know. I mean, there was no ESPN. There was no way to follow the draft. I'm sitting at home next to my landline waiting for the phone to ring. It's the second day of the draft. It's my girlfriend had come over and was going to fix me a celebration margarita, and it turned into this stinks margarita. And then I went to sleep, and then I got the phone call at midnight the second day, and it wasn't even a coach. It was Jenny Ann, the team secretary, called me up and told me they had drafted me and that they were going to mail me a ticket, an airline ticket to come out to Denver. And it wasn't what I expected, but I was just glad I had a chance. And that's one thing about the Broncos and Coach Dan Reeves. Dan was kind of an afterthought guy who made it through effort and intelligence and special teams and whatever, and then developed into a player. He was always looking for somebody like that. So I ended up in the right place at the right time. I didn't know. I mean, my agent had said if you don't get drafted, there's interest in you as a free agent. So you're gonna get a call tonight. I don't know if it's gonna be you get drafted or a free agent call, but you're gonna get a call and you're gonna get an opportunity to show what you can do, and that's all I needed.
Now I got another question for you. You're a service brat like I was, so you got a chance to bounce around. You went from, like I said, Fort Lewis, and now I don't recall too many military bases up in Minnesota. I mean, I'm sure they are there, but was that? Did your dad retire, and that's where he settled into?
Yeah, like I said, my dad was a doctor. And the military put him through medical school. So then he owed him 4 years. So he was in Baltimore, and he was in Fort Lewis. So he was just in those 2 places, and then ended up back in Minnesota where he grew up, and where my mom grew up too. So they ended up back there after they were done with the military. Now,
growing up then, because you're a service brat like me, which teams did you follow, and who were you fans of as a kid growing up? Saying, hey, I'm going to play ball, And so, that's my second question. First question would be, was there any other sports or any other things in your life that you had other than football, or was it all football all the time?
No, it was definitely not all football all the time. My parents had me doing everything. I was a Boy Scout. I was an Indian Guides, which is a YMCA thing. I was playing baseball. I was playing hockey. I was wrestling. I played the baritone horn. I played the tuba. I was a goalie in hockey because I was the big kid. I could carry the pads home. Same thing for the tuba. I was a big kid. I could carry the tuba home. I did everything. And actually, if you'd have asked me when I was in elementary school, what you're going to grow up to be a professional athlete, what's it going to be? And I'd be a hockey player. That was I was a goalie. I was very good at it. But when we moved to Edina, they already had 3 or 4 goalies lined up, and I never got a chance to play in high school. They switched me to defense, and I couldn't skate well enough as a goalie, my whole career. So I ended up, and I loved football. Don't get me wrong, I always loved playing football, but I was just one of the guys. I wasn't one of the best players. And interestingly enough, I found through the years, the move from park board football to high school football was a step up mentally. A move from high school football to college football, another step up mentally. The move from college football to pro football was a step up mentally. Yeah, you have to have a basic level of athleticism, but if you can't make the move athletically, you don't do well. It doesn't matter how big or fast or strong you are. If you don't know where you're going, you don't have a chance to play football, right? So at every level, I got a little bit better and a little bit better. And coming from college football, where I was a second team All Big Ten player, to the pros, where I played 6 Pro Bowls and 3 Super Bowls and was the captain of the team and all that. It was all because the mental side of the game was more challenging, which really fit into my personality better.
Okay, and I'm sorry for skipping around, but great segues, but yeah, you flew by them, and I apologize, and I got to do this because I got one of my constant callers is a gentleman that's a Buckeye lover, and so he's all Big Ten all the time with the Buckeyes. Going back to playing in that conference, I mean, you said that that first year you were a tackling dummy, and you were emulating the teams up at Michigan and Ohio State, and I guess maybe Indiana had a decent team back then. I think that might have been when or Purdue. But what was it like playing? I mean, that is a very rough conference of standout athletes, and then also it's cold as hell, which I guess helped you for playing in Denver. But
I love playing in the snow. I love playing in the snow. It slows all those fast guys down to my speed. Plus, they're all worried about the cold. I grew up in Minnesota, man. It doesn't bother me in the least. So, I love playing in the snow. And actually, the Big Ten is the closest conference to what they do in the pros. At least it was at the time. It was a great conference to transfer to. My senior year, we played Northwestern, and I'm convinced one of the reasons the Broncos drafted me is that year they drafted Chris Hinton first. Chris Hinton was a tackle or a guard at Northwestern, and ended up being the Broncos' first-round draft pick. And I had 2 sacks and had a good game against him. So I'm sure they were looking at his film a lot, and they're like, well, this guy's still around in the 12th round. Maybe we'll take a flyer on him. But yeah, so that was getting to play against that quality of competition. Lots of guys, lots of offensive linemen who end up in the pros. I think gave me an advantage once I got to the pros too. I was used to that level of competition.
Now I gotta ask about it because you brought him up, and it's the best segue I can do right now. Chris Hinton was the gentleman that was traded to the Colts along with one other person for John Elway, because people don't remember, or some very rarely do, that John was drafted by the Colts. He did not want to be there. He did not want to do anything with Frank Kush and that program. So the Broncos went ahead and drafted Chris Hinton and gave Chris Hinton, and I can't remember, I think it was another quarterback or one of the background.
Yeah, Mark Herman.
There you go. Yep, who's another Big Ten guy, if I'm not mistaken. And so they trade them to the Colts for the rights for John Elway. By the way, I have to say it there, sir, you realize that the Raiders had a better offer for the Colts and that Elway was going to be a Raider, but the certain commissioner said no.
Huh. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, all of the great years that you had with John Elway, I'm not trying to bust your bubble, but if Mr. Davis had gotten along better with Mr. Rozelle, Mr. Elway would have been number 7 in Oakland, and history would have been a lot different, sir.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, John was special. No, I mean he was a little raw when he first came in, just because he'd always been the best player on every team he'd been on, and that doesn't happen when you're in the pros. You can't just show up and get it done. But he learned how to work, and he actually was a great guy to have on your offense when you're playing defense. We could do things. We could take chances. We knew even if we crowd the line of scrimmage and do all kinds of risky stuff, that it's okay if we give up a score or two, that John's going to bring us back. I mean, you didn't have that fear of, oh no, we're behind, we don't have a chance. It was like, well, we're behind, but it's not the fourth quarter at the end of the game, and Elway hasn't worked his magic yet. So we were able to take chances other defenses weren't, just because we had a guy like Elway at quarterback on the other side of the ball.
Well, and you mentioned it already. Obviously, 3 Super Bowl appearances, the 6 Pro Bowls. I have to go into, and I'm not going to delve into the Super Bowls were painful. I mean, I got the stats, and I'm sure that they were painful for you. So, other than going into, I can say that. Which Super Bowl did you not like the most? Was it the 40-55, the 10 one, or was it Timmy Smith running all over you, or was it Phil Simms winning when they scored 26 straight points?
There was reasons for each one. A lot of what we did under Joe Collier was smoke and mirrors. I mean, one of the Super Bowls we played in, we only had one Pro Bowl player, Sammy Winder, and Sammy was a backup that somebody got hurt, and so Sammy got to go. I mean, we won because we had great coaches and great teamwork. It wasn't, man for man. We didn't match up against a lot of teams, and when you give a Super Bowl level coach 2 weeks to prepare for somebody, they're going to figure out where those weaknesses are and a way to attack them. So in each of those situations, there was reasons. The 49ers were just an amazing team that year. That loss was tough for me because I got leg whipped in the first quarter and tore cartilage in both my knees.
Ooh.
And was out. And it was on purpose. And it was a cheap shot, and it was really frustrating. You get all the way to the Super Bowl, and they were a so much better team than us. I don't know why. I don't know why they felt like they had to do that, but they did. And that was frustrating. I was supposed to go to the Pro Bowl right after that. My family was all going. My dad and his wife and the grandkids. I mean, everybody was going, and so we went anyway. And sitting around in Hawaii with torn cartilage in both my knees wasn't what I wanted to do. But that was a frustrating game from a lot of different angles, but particularly the cheap shot.
Yeah, I mean, well, see, that's one thing that the Raider fans are there with you, because I'm a East Coast Raider fan, so I don't really have to deal with the Niners being like my next door neighbors. So there's a lot of Raider fans where if you ask them who they're, like, for example, this past Super Bowl, they said, well, who would you root for? And most of us would say, well, we're rooting for an atomic bomb because we don't want to see the Niners win, and we don't want to see the Chiefs win. So we're rooting for an atomic bomb for the teams, or I mean, because that's what most Raider fans will tell you. And by the way, sir, not all of us get out of Chino and Lompoc and go to the games on the weekend. Some of us really do have jobs. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that as well.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was an interesting crowd playing at the LA Coliseum, and that's where I played against the Raiders every time I played against them. They were the LA Raiders at that point, and it was rough, man. Dan Reeves' wife got mugged in the parking lot, and they stole her jewelry and stuff.
Wow.
So it was rough.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, I just told my family, don't come to those games. You can come to a game anywhere else, just don't come to Coliseum.
Okay, well, I can understand that. I mean, I actually interviewed probably one of the two most famous Raider fans a little while ago, a couple weeks ago. That's the Violator. I'm sure you've seen him on a lot of the Raider channels, and he had his start in the Coliseum, and I told him, I said, man, I never made it to see a game at the Coliseum. I was in the military too, and I had a chance to do it, but I just never got up there. So I was always told, as long as you're wearing silver and black in that area, you're okay on a Sunday, as long as the sun's up. So.
Right.
Yeah. So
you hope it doesn't go overtime, and you certainly don't wear orange.
There you go.
We play in San Diego. More than half of the fans were orange.
Oh yeah.
We play in Arizona. More than half of the fans are wearing orange. We go to LA, and anybody wearing orange.
Well, the one thing you can't do is, and I know that you would be welcome out in Vegas, because that's one of the things that they're saying in Vegas is that the natural Raider home field advantage that they had in Oakland, that they had in Los Angeles, is not going to be a sure thing if they don't have a winning franchise. And again, you said you played against those Raiders, and other than like Dan's wife getting mugged, were there any other memories? I was going to say, weren't the Broncos the game that James Trapp went on the field and it was fighting? It was either you guys or the Chiefs. I remember it was an AFC West game. And,
yeah, it was us.
Okay,
yeah,
so I did have it right. Yeah, so I remember that.
Yeah. There was a few of them. There was one play, and I'm trying to think of what the guy's name was. There was an interception, and I took advantage of the situation and peeled back and picked off a lineman, and. Just
tit for tat.
I mean, the first thing to hit was the back of his head. Kind of just decleater, got him, and two different guys rushed from off the field to fight. And I mean, it was that game. That game every year determined really who was going to win the championship for the AFC West. I mean, for my 12 years. It was either the Broncos or it was the Raiders. I mean, that was it. I mean, I think there was once or twice that Seattle snuck in there, but beyond that, it was just us and whoever won that game, and it'd be 3 points or less, and whoever won that game would win the next Raider Bronco game and go to the playoffs. And it was knockdown, drag out, old school. It was awesome. I mean, I'd wake up in the morning like, hey, it's Christmas, man. I get to play the Raiders. Where I mean, it was the way football should be. They could care less if you knew what they were doing. I mean, Todd Christensen couldn't block anybody. Wherever he lined up, they'd run the other direction. It was obvious. It was plain. It was just like, all right, here they come. It was, and they didn't care if you knew. Like I said, they just thought they were tougher than you were gonna beat you man to man, and. No trickery whatsoever, and just hard-nosed football, and it was fun.
Now, sir, am I getting from you that you are the actual reason why that they had the melee with James Trapp is because you went and peeled back and hit somebody? Am I reading between the lines
That was not that particular melee.
Okay, okay.
Melee.
Oh, yeah, because there were so many of them, in the LA Coliseum. Right.
There was a few. But yeah, when they come off the sidelines, that there was another game. I think it was against the Raiders where they had a hang glider land on the field. Some guy was hang gliding over the field and ended up landing on the field. Yeah, there's some crazy stuff in the AFC. And back in those days, I don't know what the guy was doing hang gliding over the stadium, but apparently he couldn't get out.
I think I remember that one as well. And it stopped the game for a couple minutes until they could get him off the field, and then of course they arrested him. And
well, of course.
I mean, if Mike Curtis would have been there, Mike Curtis would have tackled him.
Right? Yeah. You were talking about your line, Matt Millen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I remember one time we're playing it in Mile High Stadium, and the ref puts the ball down, spots the ball, and turns around and walks away. And Millen walks over, picks the ball up, and moves it about a yard back and puts it down. And Dan Reeves is like going to have a heart attack. He's jumping up and down and screaming and yelling, and they left the ball right where it was. It was so funny. Like, really? He just walked over, picked it up, and put it outside. Nobody saw except our sidelines, and we all went crazy. It was funny.
And what was it like playing for Coach Reeves? A great guy that he was.
Dan is a great guy, and a guy that wanted to win more than anything. He was driven, and that's what you want for a coach. I mean, he wasn't really a great tactician. If Tom Landry didn't do it, we didn't do it. If you were a square peg, he was going to stuff you in that round hole. He didn't care. This is what we do. This is how we do it. 3 yards in a cloud of dust and play some defense. And at the end of the game, hopefully, we'll get something done. But man, he was driven. We had a coach on our team that you would swear his only job was to blow a whistle every 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes during practice, the whistle would blow, and we'd switch what we were doing. We go from pass rush to pass coverage to what we just move around. And every 5 minutes, Harry blow the whistle, but the rest, and he's pulling down six figures to blow a whistle. The rest of the time, he's just spinning it around his finger. But his real job is Dan played a lot of these charity golf tournaments. And Harry was an unbelievable golfer, and Dan had to win, and he won a whole bunch of charity golf tournaments because Harry was on his team. So, I mean, that was how bad Dan had to win. I mean, we lost 3 games. We lost 3 games in a row one time under Dan Reeves, and he took away our lunch. He said, "You guys don't deserve lunch. No lunches."
Well, that's a hell of a job if you can get it, making 6 figures, blowing a whistle, and playing golf, man.
No, he was doing well for himself. Turned out he was a salary cap guru. That's what he turned into later. But at that time, his only job was to be Dan's golf buddy and blow a whistle.
And I'm thinking there's got now other than the Raiders, and I will say this, I'm not sure if you've seen the whole slideshow. I tried to put in all the good stuff that us Raider fans would love. I mean, there's you sacking a Chiefs quarterback. There's you getting a card. I mean, the Cardinals quarterback I threw in there because it was a good shot. Of course, the Warren Moon shot. The tackling the Steeler. What would you say that? And I'm not trying to lead the witness here, Your Honor. So in case that there's an objection from the defense attorney, would you say that the Raiders were your? Because you said it always came down to the Broncos and the Raiders while you were there. But were there any other teams that you loaded up for? I'm sure the Browns. I mean, you had those 2 memorable playoff games against the Browns. They were a tough out too.
Yeah, but the Raiders you're playing them twice a year. I mean that, and once again, if you go back and look at the scores of those games, during my time, 83 through 94, There are very few, maybe 2 or 3 that were bigger spread than 3 points. I mean, it always came down to the end of the game, and it was cool. I mean, it was such good football. There was no question that both sides were ready. And they knew what the stakes were, that once again, that first game, whoever won that game was going to win the second game. And I don't know why it always worked that way, but it did. And we were on the top quite a few times, but the Raiders had their days too. It was great for no. The Browns were, you know, those games were huge, obviously, to get to the Super Bowl. We beat them all 3 times. We went to the Super Bowl, and they were great teams. And the games were back and forth, but it wasn't like playing the Raiders. The Raiders knew us, and we knew them. There was no surprise. There was no question that they were going to get our best, and we expected their best, and it was and there was a history before I got there. You know, the Raiders and the Broncos have a long history of great football.
I got to ask again, and I'm not blowing smoke when I say this, sir, because when I told people that I had the interview with you upcoming, the folks that know football, that respected you, and again, when I see a lot of Broncos fans when they wear a jersey other than John's, because John's is always the go-to jersey, the jersey that I see the most was yours. And I can honestly say that we as a group said, "Oh yeah, man, that man needs to be in the Hall of Fame." So there's our credit to you as well. But I know that you're would be humbled, and I appreciate that. But other than you, Steve Atwater, Tom Jackson, any of your teammates that you played with that deserve such accolades as well? We already know that you do, but
I appreciate that, and I'd vote for me. But
yeah, well, we would.
You know, my biggest issue, I think, or my biggest challenge as a candidate for the Hall of Fame is that I played all the different positions. If you look at my statistics, they don't match up with anybody's. They can't say, okay, well, you know, he's a inside linebacker and he should have this many tackles and he should have this many interceptions, because half the time I'm rushing the passer. You know, or you know, as a pass rusher, well, half the time I'm dropping into coverage. I don't get as many sacks as somebody who rushes the passer every time it's a pass. And it's just, you know, statistically I don't match up. So if you didn't have a chance to see those AFC West knockdown drag-out battles that were going on in the late 80s, early 90s, you wouldn't know, looking at my statistics, that I belong. And I think that's an issue for me. The other issue is the Mountain Time Zone. We've never had we never had great coverage. We didn't have the coverage that East Coast teams did and West Coast teams did, and that's just the way it is. And I'm glad I ended up in Denver, but if I'd have played in New York or if I'd have played in California, I'd already be in the Hall of Fame. That's just the way it is. And we realize that as Broncos players, that, I mean, the statistics and the numbers bear that out.
I was going to say, sir, I got your stats up here, and this is from I think the pro football site that I actually trust the most. 180 games, all with the Broncos. The ability, like you said, to play all 7 of the front positions, I guess, from rush end to a rush linebacker to inside linebacker to nose and all that goes with it. Most seasons, all 16 of your games, I think, let me see, 1, 2, only 3 seasons did you not play the full 16. So you were
one was the strike. Yeah, one was the strike year. So that.
Well, there you go.
Nobody played all 16.
Well, there. Yeah. Well, actually, you played 9 of your 9. So there you go. So you played all. Was it the 9 or was it the 12?
I missed 5 games one season. I broke my thumb twice during the season. Other than that, I didn't miss games.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
5 interceptions. 16 forced fumbles. 14 fumble recovery. So now, a lot of times, was it you stripping and then getting it, or did somebody else get it and you fell on it?
I don't know. I had some of each. It's people ask me about specific plays during my career, and the ones I remember are the ones I didn't make. It's like just barely missed, or I could have made but didn't make, and or hit the quarterback after, just as he's letting the ball go, and for a touchdown or whatever it was, where it's it just didn't quite make the. Those are the ones I remember. Those are the ones that I wake up at night still. Dang, it was very close.
And the thing that I remember, obviously, as well, is that you were the sack master, 79 in your career, and I was surprised to know that you were not the leader in sacks for the Broncos at all. And I was like, wow, well, who the heck is in front of him?
Well, I was for about 5 games. I had the lead, and Simon Fletcher passed me up. And then since then, now Von Miller has passed Simon Fletcher.
Right.
Right. But yeah, I made it for a couple games, and then Simon was an interesting cat. Now Simon was an unbelievable pass rusher, but he got most of his sacks. He didn't wear down. The guy's sitting smoking in the locker room and but he would not wear down at the end of the season. Everybody else is wearing down, and he's just getting going. He didn't make any Pro Bowls during his career, even though he had as many sacks as he had, because he always got them late in the year. He wouldn't be out front early in the year, and was a tremendous pass rusher. And if he actually would tackle a number of the sacks that I got, because Simon missed him and then I got him. Right? Simon was quite a passer, and he still ended up, like I said, leading the Broncos in all-time sacks for about 10 years, and then until obviously Von Miller came on the scene, and the game turned into all passing, and there's lots more sacks to be had.
And what's your views on that? How has the NFL really changed since you played 83 to 94? I mean, that was in my mind that was like my high school to college years to early or like mid portion of the Navy, and so there's been such change in that time frame. It's gone from a pretty much a run dominant, in my mind, a run dominant football game to a pass happy game, and it's really skewed all of those statistics, which is again, it's a shame that you even said, because you played all of these different positions, and you were a jack of all, but I wouldn't say a master of none. You were a jack of all with great mastery, but again, when you put those stats up against the contemporaries, that's where it falls short, and that's unfortunate, because they should be rewarding you for having the capabilities to do all the things that you did.
Well, I appreciate that, and the game has changed, but the game always changes. The game's safer than it's ever been. When I have young parents ask me if they should allow their child to play football, I say for sure, yeah. I mean, the character that you can build as a football player is really hard to find anywhere else. And if you have a child like I was, who was going to run into stuff with his head anyway, you might as well have a helmet on and some supervision, right? So yeah, let him go. The game's safe. The other side of it is my grandfather was a little All-American at University of North Dakota. He played in the 20s, and I was sitting with him watching a game on Thanksgiving at his house. I believe it was USC versus Notre Dame. UND is the same as UND, University of North Dakota, University of Notre Dame. And my grandfather didn't like Notre Dame because North Dakota was the real UND in his mind. So we're watching this game, and I'm looking at these guys, and my grandfather was maybe 185 pounds. He played nose guard and center. And I'm saying, Grandpa, these guys are really big. I don't know if you could play nowadays. He said, hell, boy, I played when it was a man's game. Didn't have no pads in my pants. Didn't have no face mask. Had to play both ways. I mean, there's an evolution of the game. during my career with they went from the suspension helmets to the air pocket helmets, and now they've improved tremendously from those helmets. So it's just time, and that's good. The game should evolve.
What was the toughest players that you had to play against, as far as like maybe running backs that you had to stick your nose in and tackle, the quarterbacks that were elusive, the tight ends that you had to play? Like you said that Christensen didn't block, so at least you knew he was going out for a pass.
Oh, he was going out for a pass. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we played against some great running backs back in the day. Obviously, guys like Eric Dickerson, Sweetness, Walter Payton, the guys, Franco Harris, just some tremendous running backs. Obviously, Marcus Allen fits in there. Great running back. Marcus and I had a thing. My first big play was against Marcus. I hit him and knocked him out.
I was waiting for that.
Balls were fluttering.
Yeah, I was setting you up for that.
Yeah, but it was a setup. I mean, Plunkett never should have thrown that pass. I was running before the ball was thrown. I saw him leak out of the backfield and turn around and wave at Plunkett, and I started running. But something about where I threw my hands and where Marcus held the ball, I forced him to fumble a number of times when I was tackling. Something about where my hands went and where his hand went with the ball. Just, I'd punch it out a lot of times. But anyway, a lot of great guys in the league. But the guys that bothered me most were the little fast guys. Give me a big guy that tries to run me over any day. The little jitterbugs, the Barry Sanders, the Harmon, played with San Diego, I believe.
Ronnie Harmon, yes sir.
Ronnie Harmon, guys like that just were kick returners / running back kind of guys. Those guys were a much bigger problem for me than the little fast guys. Although Bo Jackson had a whole nother gear. There was a play, first time I played against Bo. They ran an off tackle play and he bounced out, and I took the angle you take usually for a running back, and it was not the correct angle. He was already by me when I got out there, and I just got his shirt tail with my hand and held on. And Dennis Smith, our safety, big hitter, came up by the secondary, was going to blow Bo up, and because I slowed him down by grabbing his shirt, my leg spun around and Bo slowed down, so Dennis missed him to the outside, and my leg spun around. I kicked Dennis in the arm and broke his arm. But I held on to Bo. He only had about a 6-yard gain instead of a touchdown. But just a tremendous athlete as far as just straight flat speed. I had never seen a guy, even those little quick guys, they were more back and forth jitterbug guys. It just flat, another 10 miles an hour faster than anybody I played against.
Best quarterback that you played against, sir?
Wow. A bunch of them. I played against one of the best every day in practice. I could never hit him. If you hit John in practice, it's a road map and an apple. They send you off.
See ya!
So, right. But Joe Montana would have been one of them. Unbelievably gifted guy. Just annoyingly precise with his passes. He wouldn't throw the ball very far very often. There's always a little dink and dunk, which is right where the linebacker's at, and you think you got the guy covered, and he's got a two-way going, and you reach out and the ball's 6 inches off the tips of your fingers, and he just a tough guy to play against. Lots of audibles at the line of scrimmage and changes of play based on what you're doing. Dan Marino, I came in the year Dan came in. He was probably my favorite guy to sack. You sack Dan Marino, not only did you get to sack Dan Marino, but then he'd get up and cuss and yell and scream at the guy you just beat, which was really fun. But what a competitor, and an unbelievable arm, and a great leader of men. And there's a whole bunch of them, but but those two kind of stand out in my mind.
Yeah, and I apologize for saying, hey, you're limited to one, because I even tell people as well when they say, well, who are the top 10 NFL players? And I say, dude, you can't do that. You have to do, first off, by era, because the eras have changed so much, and so you have to go by position, by era. You can't come down to a list like that. So I appreciate you at least giving it your best there. And I will say that Heidi Stabbert, who is one of the ladies that does a podcast, the Ladies of Darkness, great gal. Her and her cohorts, they've probably forgotten more stuff than a lot of people know on purpose in the NFL. She said that you would definitely have her vote for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So again, coming
Nice.
from her, trust me, if you might want to reach out to her. Maybe she can be part of your publicist there, and I'll be there too. I'll say, hey, I remember, trust me, and that's why when I had a chance to reach out to you, I said, man, I remember KARL MECKLENBURG. So
well, I appreciate that, Captain Jack. This year I went into the senior committee, so I've been a semifinalist for the Hall of Fame for 8 years in a row. This year they bumped me into the senior committee. Unfortunately, the senior committee thing this year was a little different. They decided to they let in 10 guys, but they were all guys that had been in the senior committee voting for a long time, guys that had been passed over by that group. So I didn't qualify there, and hopefully one of these days I'll be the guy. But once again, I'm not making any more tackles. There's nothing else I could do. I'm out here. I travel the country giving speeches. I do about 40 keynote speeches a year all around the country. Talk about universal keys to success that I learned in the NFL: teamwork, courage, dedication, desire, honesty and forgiveness, goal setting. Things that apply across the board, regardless of what industry you're in, what position you are in that industry. People things, and it's been great. Probably the thing I miss most from professional football is the adrenaline, that game day feeling of you got to go and it's time to go. And I still get that, getting up and giving a speech, even though I've done this longer than I played pro football. It's a real rush from the adrenaline standpoint. So a lot of guys have a hard time replacing that. I think that's why players end up getting in trouble when they retire from the NFL. Some of them they find that adrenaline in a negative place rather than in a positive place. And I've been very fortunate to have two jobs I love, and this one will come back. Right now with the COVID thing, there's not a whole lot of speaking going on, but it'll come back, and I'm excited for that.
Well, we definitely we definitely appreciate you having a speaking engagement on us. So I owe you a shot and a dinner here in Tampa if you ever get out for this. Is my way of saying appreciation. I will say this, so all of the audience and I, going from the biography, and I love this. You have earned the Certified Speaking Professional designation from the National Speakers Association. You've worked with several charities, including your Reach Foundation, board member for Colorado Youth Outdoors, celebrity events in Durango and Aspen, Project Healing Waters, you in scouting. I have to ask, you were an Eagle Scout, I'm betting, right?
I was not. Actually, my son was. My youngest son was. He doesn't like to sweat, so the sports thing didn't really fit for him. He's a skier and a scuba diver and that kind of stuff, but not a team athlete. And I've always insisted that my kids get involved in something team related. I was involved in a whole bunch of team stuff, but for Jeff, my youngest, the scouts was the thing. For my daughter, she was involved in theater. My oldest son is a musician and an athlete. But something where you have to work with other people and be in a team environment. And for Jeff, it was Scouts. I loved Scouts. I was in Scouts and playing hockey and wrestling, and and my scoutmaster said, you better show up to meetings or make a choice. What are you going to do? And unfortunately, in some ways, I had to make that choice. And fortunately for the Denver Bronco fans, NFL fans, I chose sports. Ended up going that route, but I love it. Was a hard choice. I almost went the other way.
Well, I could see you in an orange jersey in hockey because I'm a Flyers fan. I think that you would have fit wearing that same almost the same color orange jersey that you wore in Denver in Philly, and be with the mentality, because I'm from Philly as a kid. I can see KARL MECKLENBURG as a goalie like Ron Hextall, making the save and then going out and punching the guy too. So that would be that would work. And I can try to find you a Philly Flyer jersey and get you to do that as well. I bet you, actually, if you go to Philly public speaking, I think that you would probably you'd get your audience really hopped up on that if you wore a Flyers jersey. Say, hey, I'm just wearing my orange jersey here as a joke, and then go for it.
There you go. Yeah, hockey goalie. Being a hockey goalie was actually fortunate for me when I got switched to linebacker. I already had the lateral quickness. I already understood angles. There's a lot of things about playing hockey goalie and playing linebacker in the NFL that are very similar, and I already had that knowledge because I was a hockey goalie back when I was a kid. And that, truthfully, I think that lateral movement stuff is real difficult for linemen to pick up. Linemen is going ahead. They don't go side to side. They just don't. But as a hockey player, especially as a goalie, it's all side to side motion. So I was and the quickness, trusting yourself, allowing yourself to be decisive of any characteristic I had in the NFL that allowed me to be successful as somebody who didn't match up athletically from a scout standpoint. That decisiveness piece that I learned as a hockey goalie, that as soon as you have an inkling of where that puck's going, you got to move. That allowed me to be a great player. It wasn't straight athleticism, or else I wouldn't have been the 12th round pick that I was. It was that understanding and that trusting yourself, allowing yourself to go when it's time to go.
Well, we're rooting for you as well. Again, another great shot from Heidi. And I agree as well. The Hall of Fame needs new voting procedures and new voters. You definitely have impressed and we got a tough crowd here. Hey, got a tough crowd like Rodney Dangerfield's in the house. But again, it's out of respect for people that know you and respect all that you've done. That's why I was really looking forward to having you on, and just the memories that you had. Was there anything other than maybe, and I have the article, and it was the most deserving players to have never won a Super Bowl. It was obviously for out in the Denver press. It's a shame he missed out on it. You're credited with over 1,100 tackles, 79.5 sacks. Mecklenburg was an easy choice for the team's Ring of Fame, and even has a decent argument. I think it's more than a decent argument for a spot in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but he might trade all of that in for one Super Bowl win. Agreed? Agree or not?
Yeah, but trade all that in.
Well, that's writer speak. I think that.
From my standpoint, what is. I had a chance to win Super Bowls. I played in 3 of them. It's not a game that you can win by yourself. It's not a game that you can. Football is the ultimate team sport. You're more dependent on each other than you are anywhere else in the world of sports. You got more guys on a team. You got a whole offensive team that substitutes for a defensive team that substitutes for the pass rush team that substitutes. There's so many guys involved, so many different wheels involved, so many different decisions that coaches make. Each play, the play stop. If you time a pro football game from snap to whistle and leave all the other crap out, it's less than 10 minutes. It's 10 minutes of actual action over 3 hours. The other time is spent planning and adjusting and changing and anticipating what the other guys are going to do, and moving and substituting and doing all these things that are mental and are a challenge. So yeah, I didn't win a Super Bowl. There are guys who never sniffed the field who have 3 Super Bowl rings, but they what did they do? The secretary gets a Super Bowl ring if your team wins the Super Bowl. I'm not going to apologize for what happened in those games. Like I said, there's explanations for each of them, and it was very frustrating to not come out on top. But I stand by my effort and my preparation and what I did in those games, and it's once again the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows. I mean, winning those AFC Championship games against the Browns, the drive game, the fumble game, and then the last one we just called the beat down because we beat them so bad, but we had their number at that point. But we were a great team. I mean, we went to 3 Super Bowls out of 4 years, and then 2 years later we played in the AFC Championship. Would have won against Buffalo, but ended up fumbling right at the end of the game. That was the game that Elway was sick, and Kubiak came in and played, and we had a good chance to win that thing, but we fumbled, I think, on the 20-yard line going in on a drive at the end of the game. So we had a great team. We had 2 in my 12 years. We had two under 500 seasons. I mean, that is a long stretch of very good football.
Yes, it was. I always, like I said, I would always have a bunch of friends in my military career, and I'd always run into a Bronco guy. And whenever I was overseas, I would always try to invite to hang out with my Bronco friends, and we'd watch the game. It would always be entertaining. Like you said, it always came down to the Broncos and Raiders, especially in, like I said, in your portions of the career. And it was almost always a sweep, like you said. It was never one. I should say it was most of the time it was 2-0 for one team or the other. It was very rarely a split.
Yeah, it was strange that way, and they were super close games. A bunch of them were overtime games. But once again, we just knew each other so well, and we matched up so well against each other. It was usually low scoring, and it was just smash mouth football.
And I tell you again, sir, and I appreciate all your time. Again, I want to reiterate all that you have done after your career as well, and that's a true mark of a professional and a dynamic personality. All that you give for your the charitable causes and your professional speaking, I'd definitely come out and see that. So I'm not sure.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
folks can look me up. My website's just KARLMecklenburg.com. There's all kinds of video of me on YouTube. There's video on my website. I've got a book out called Heart of a Student Athlete, All Pro Advice for Competitors and Their Families. That's available on my website and also just, around all over the place. But I'd love to get to know some more Raiders fans. I don't want to bump into you at the Coliseum.
No, but
wearing my orange. But other than that,
well, things are not quite what it seemed. Especially, and actually, you missed playing in Oakland because I never got a chance to see. I call them obviously my Raiders. I never saw my Raiders play in L.A. And I mean the closest was when I was stationed down in San Diego. And I would at least see the Raiders at Jack Murphy. And yes, I'm so old that it was Jack Murphy, not Qualcomm. And, watching my first Raider game was in San Diego and each year. And I didn't get a chance to go to L.A. So it's an experience. But I will say this, sir, and I guarantee you it. I'm not lying to you. You missed out on playing in Oakland. In fact, one of the people that's here, watching the interview is a portion of the YouTubers. They call themselves their team called For Life Our Raider Story, and they did a lot of videos about the tremendous tailgates that they had out in Oakland, and even with the opposition fans. I tell you, when I would go into that little area where the Broncos fans were, and I'd smile wide as hell because it's just the camaraderie there. You know, it's your foe on the field, but you get a chance to hang out with them. And of course, I'm all dressed up, so I'm kind of easy to spot. But it was a great time. So we're sorry that you didn't get a chance to experience that. And I mean, wholeheartedly, you missed out. But that's why we'll take you up. I know there won't be any tailgates in Vegas, but if there's any events there and I'm there and you're there, and I'll ask if you're coming out for the game. When COVID actually clears up and I can actually travel with all the medical issues that I have, if you're there for the Bronco game, I'll look you up and we'll get you around a crowd of people that will enjoy seeing you for you.
Thanks, Jack. I appreciate that. It'll be fun. Those will be great games out there in Vegas. I think that it's the NFL really, I think, hurt itself for a long time not allowing a team to be in Vegas. I mean, that was a choice they made. Every locker room had a sign hanging in it saying you cannot. What was it? You can't talk with or be associated with known gamblers. And now they're in Vegas, and truthfully, it's gonna be a whole other cash flow thing for them, and more power to them.
I'm sorry, I got to ask you one question, since you kind of alluded to it, why is it? Because you brought up the gambling and such things. Why is it that you think that the officiating can be piss poor at times? And I have to also ask, didn't you think that the Raiders actually scored 2 touchdowns the last game of the season last year? And I mean, I gotta ask. I mean, there were 2 touchdowns.
It's people. I mean, that's the problem. I mean, it's people, and you got emotions. You've got guys who are older and get tired and miss things, and the camera doesn't miss things. You know, the cameras are getting better and better and better. They got so many cameras at a pro football game. They got such unbelievable clarity and definition in the pictures from all different angles. You're gonna know sitting at home whether the call is right or the call is wrong. It didn't used to be that way. I mean, there was 2 different angles or maybe 3 different angles, and they weren't nearly as tight, and they didn't have the capability to zoom in the way they can zoom in now. And I think the mistakes have always been there. It just seems like it's more blatant now because you've got so much better technology. So you can check up on them and see if they're doing it right or doing it wrong. We had this guy on our sidelines. It was a sideline ref who was crippled at birth. He had a shriveled arm, and Dan got so mad at him he called him Lefty one time. And every other time from that game on until my career was over, anytime Lefty was on our sidelines, we lost. I mean, he would make calls at the wrong time, stuff that it happens every play, but all of a sudden is a penalty if you have a big play. And it was a ref can control a game. If I'd have been a gambler and knew Lefty was going to be on our sidelines, I'd have made that bet for sure, because it was personal for him. And once again, I don't think that can happen now because there's so much more oversight and so much more technology that allows you to check up on guys, but it's just too obvious now when a guy makes a mistake because there's so many different angles and such unbelievable technology.
Anything else, sir? That because I've bounced around. I wanted to make sure that we got your best and your memories and everybody's saying how much of it lots of respect for you here and great interview. Obviously, it's you answering the question, so it's not me. So that's all on you. Is there anything I might have missed that you wish to have a parting shot to all the people here?
Not at all. I guess it was good to have the Raiders for my career. To have the Raiders, to have an opponent that was your arch enemy. I mean, this is it was us and the Raiders, and whoever won those games went to the playoffs, and we knew it, they knew it. It was football at its best. If you want to draw up a rivalry, that was it. I mean, it was the best, and it was awesome. And I don't think you can find out what you're capable of unless you have a great competitor on the other side of the ball. Or you'd have a great team to play against. And from that standpoint, I never liked the Raiders, but I respected the Raiders because I knew that I was going to get their best. There was no question about that. They were going to be prepared, and to go into that game and raise your play to another level because you had this opponent that you so look forward to playing against was special, and I respect that about the Raiders and the Raiders fans. It was my time to shine, and the Raiders looked at it as it was their time to shine. So that was what football was all about. It was big fun.
Well, I almost always remember that when the Broncos won and you were playing, I would be swearing. I said, that MF Mecklenburg and Jackson and Atwater, and I trust me, it was your defense. I mean, Elway would do his due, but most of the time I was screaming at you and Dennis Smith and Steve Atwater and Tom Jackson and I think Chavis played with you, might have.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So
yeah,
I remember the Orange Crush too, because you weren't the original Orange Crush, but you were Orange Crush too, and it was always you guys that I just hated. So it wasn't personal, but I hated you, Karl. Trust me.
We lost a game against the Raiders one time in the Coliseum where we shut them out defensively. John threw an interception on a screen pass from our end zone that you guys scored on. John turned the ball over on the 20-yard line. We stopped them 3 plays, actually backed them up a little bit 3 plays, and they kicked the field goal. We ended up losing the game 10-7. It was defensive football. There was no question when there wasn't a whole lot of yardage being gained by either side over and over and over again. And I think like we talked about earlier, that it's because we knew each other so well. There weren't any surprises out there, and it was just a battle of wills. A lot of overtime games, a lot of close games. Big fun.
Well, sir, it's been big fun for me, and I know it's been big fun for everybody that's got a chance to listen to you. I want to let you go, so I know you're with your son, and my best to you and your family there. I will be getting back with you via text because I'll do some other things off the side. But, sir, again, from as us Navy guys say, from one shipmate to another, we appreciate you and what you've done here, and having a chance to come out and join us on the Black Shield and Galleon Webcast. I certainly appreciate it, and I'll send you the link so you can. Actually, I said it's about 45 minutes in. We were kind of playing amongst ourselves, shall we say, until you came on board. But again, no hate and discontent. I said, hey, things happen. And
I appreciate it, and I apologize. Like I said earlier, I'm excited that I got a chance to speak with you.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure. And if you have a picture, of you waylaying Marcus Allen, I'm sure you probably have one, an 8x10.
You know, I don't.
Oh, my
I got
goodness.
the video. I've got a 90-second highlight video that I play before I speak.
Yeah.
And that's one of the highlights. If you want me to shoot that over to you, I will.
Oh no, I've seen it on. In fact, I was trying to get that as your picture for the show. But unfortunately, it was I couldn't get anything that was really good that I can use, and I was like, man, that's the shot. That or if you have an 8x10 of you destroying a raider, to me, as something that I would cherish is like, you know, me just taking it to Jim Plunkett or Mark Wilson or pick somebody or Marcus. That's the memory I want of this show as well, and I'll get with you on that. That's awesome.
I appreciate it. Thanks. All right. Take care. Nice to speak with you.
Yes, sir. I'll get with you as well. And again, thank you for being here, sir. It's much appreciated. That was KARL Mecklenburg, and I loved it. I hope that everybody had a chance to listen up all of the years that he had as a Bronco, and all of the time that he had, with those games that he had with the Raiders. And again, he does his speeches, and it would be impressive to see. He does have his website, KARLMecklenburg.com. Great stuff there. I'm actually going to actively seek out something that if he is doing something local. I'm not sure how far away he does. It'd be fantastic. So I enjoyed it. I definitely hope you guys did. I know we had a little bit of. I was actually about ready to start doing a hello my baby, hello my honey, hello my ragtime gal. You know, I was going to do vaudeville, man. But I wanted to make sure that we had a chance to do that. And you definitely don't want me singing for a show. I can do background vocals, but just not doing this. Looks like Bear is on early tonight. So, as Heidi says, make sure you're heading on over to watch the Raider Bear show. I'm going to let everybody go. It's been wonderful. We'll see you tomorrow night for the regular show. It'll be the call-in show. You don't know jack about sports. And I'll definitely thank Mr. Mecklenburg and give him the view here. And we'll go from that. Y'all take care. Join me again tomorrow for the call-in show. And then as I have other people to interview, I'll interview them. So we'll get some really good information from the players. The players, like Bob Grant was saying. And by the way, while I'm doing that, because I think this is something that needs to be shown. Hang on here. If you haven't done so already, okay. Bob Grant was doing his interview with us a little while ago. Make sure you check out the playerscongress.com. Go and find some of these T-shirts that are there. Support the older players. And again, all of the proceeds are for, again, the Retired NFL Players Congress. They have other things that you can use to support. But go up on their website, again, playerscongress.com. And it's really nice T-shirts. And it's a good way for you to show your support for players that definitely weren't making the bucks that they do today, and it's a good way for you to do that. So, having said that, let me reach over here. Remember, playerscongress.com. And again, tonight I wanted to thank Mr. KARL Mecklenburg for being here. Most appreciative. Make sure you're heading on over to see Raider Bear. I will be over there in a little bit. And so your best friend is a Bronco fan, and there you go. Tell him he missed out. He missed out. Logan, tell him that I'll be coming over in a little bit once I get my show squared away. We'll see y'all next time here. Always enjoyable. Take care, everybody. And yark from the big, salty